Welcome back in, everybody, and a happy 4th of July here on the Auburn Undercover YouTube channel. We've got some breaking news. Here is Hollis Davidson has recommitted to Auburn. Yes, recommitted. Previously committed to Auburn back in February. Reopened his recruitment in May. I believe that was on May 6th. And a little under 2 months later, he's right back, right back where he started. It's a pretty solid win there for Ben Agamoa, Logan Bradley, the assistant tight end coach, and then Hugh Freeze, obviously, as well. This is a guy that, when he did reopen his recruitment, we mentioned it on over at auburnundercover.com. We mentioned, hey, this is a guy that Auburn didn't want to lose. This is a guy that they were going to keep pushing to try and keep in the class because they liked his skill set there at the tight end position. And sure enough, they get him back in the class. When he reopened his recruitment, basically it was a situation where he said, "Look, I felt like I committed too early." He committed in February. He said he felt like he committed too early. Wanted to enjoy the process a little bit. Wanted to see other schools. He had taken a couple unofficial visits here and there, and the main one that kind of caught his eye was to Florida State, which ended up being the other competitor here at the very end for Hollis. And he said, "Look, I want to go and take some other official visits this summer. I want to go explore other schools, but I really only feel comfortable doing that if my recruitment is open again." Now, Auburn is not like, Clemson, for example. When they get a commitment, they basically force them to shut it down. And they say, if you go and visit other schools, you're at risk of losing your scholarship spot in the class, and we might drop you. Auburn doesn't do that. Really, no school does that besides Clemson. But this was more so just from Hollis's side. Look, I want to feel right about going to visit other schools. I want to be able to enjoy those visits with maybe a little bit less pressure, from both sides for that matter. So he ends up doing that. He goes to check out Florida, goes to check out Florida State. Texas and Georgia got involved a little bit as well. But Auburn is the school that ultimately gets his commitment again, and it's a unique situation, and it's something that does not happen very often. Rarely do you see a commitment reopen their recruitment and then end up back at that same school. But it kind of speaks to how Auburn handled the recruitment of Hollis Davidson. And I got a chance to talk with Hollis on Wednesday before he announced on Thursday, and he said, "Look, the way that Coach Ben, Coach Logan, Coach Freeze, and he even mentioned the fan base and all the people on Auburn Twitter and social media and whatnot." And another guy that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit as well, Ryan G, the current tight end commit, who's a really close friend of his. He says, "Look, the way that everybody kind of handled the situation, gave me my space, still kept pushing for me really hard to end up back in the class. That was a really big deal." And that's kind of how he ended up landing back at Auburn. And it's a solid win. I'm going to pull up the picture now. Hollis Davidson there on the left, wearing number 8, with Micah Riley in the middle, and Ryan G on the right side in number 87. Ryan G has been committed since last fall, and they've been really close friends. Look, Ryan G has been the commit where you've kind of said he replaces your Luke D a little bit, more of your blocking style tight end. Ryan G is definitely very, very filled out. Looking at his measurements right now, Ryan G, he's listed 6'5", 231, but that's not right. He's 6'5", pushing 250 right now. So he has gotten much, much bigger. And Hollis Davidson, for that matter, look, he's looked at and viewed as a receiving tight end, and that's definitely what he is. He's almost a bigger wide receiver right now. But look at him compared to Micah Riley and compared to Ryan G. I mean, Hollis Davidson is 6'5", 238. He absolutely has the ability to add a blocking element to his game. And he does some blocking as well, but as of right now, he's much more of your bigger wide receiver, big pass catcher kind of guy there at tight end. And he does that really, really well for that matter. Got a chance to see him at Auburn's 7-on-7 camp earlier this summer, which was the first time that he was back in Auburn since he had decommitted. Had a handful of highlight reel catches, a one-handed catch that he kind of pulled in on one side, had to bring to the other. It was an extremely athletic play. And it kind of speaks to the genes in his family for that matter. His dad played volleyball at Penn State. His aunt played volleyball at Penn State. And she was also the women's volleyball coach at Notre Dame. So athletics definitely runs in his family a good bit. And it's a room where you're losing Luke Deal, you're losing Brandon Frazier, you're losing Rivaldo Fairweather after this next season. You need guys that are ready to play and can make some sort of an impact in some fashion next year. Ryan G, if you can get him in to replace Luke Deal a little bit, get some of that blocking in, look, Hollis Davidson isn't going to be Rivaldo Fairweather right away. He's not going to be an all SEC tight end right away. But if you can replace him a little bit, obviously you've got Micah, you've got Rico Walker as well. If you can count on Hollis to get you a couple catches as a freshman, do that a little bit, that would be pretty solid for Auburn. And that's kind of what Auburn believes. They think that Hollis can be that guy, and that's kind of why they continue to push so hard for him. Hollis said that he was really kind of blown away when he returned for the 7-on-7 camp for the first time since decommitted, just how much love they showed to him. That continued on his official visit. And then now here on July 4th, he officially announces his commitment back to Auburn over Florida State, puts Auburn back up to 15 commitments in the class. Going into the commitment, they were at number 13. They'll probably be right around that top 10 range now. And as Auburn continues to push towards Big Cat Weekend, Jacoby Ward will announce on the 6th for that matter. So Auburn will look to get a couple more guys here throughout the month of July before Big Cat Weekend. And Hollis Davidson is the latest one. So appreciate everyone tuning in to the Auburn Undercover YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed already, make sure to do that down below. The YouTube channel subscription does not cost you anything at all, totally free, and we really appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber at auburnundercover.com, that does cost you money, but right now we're running a promo. I believe it goes until July 16th, where you can get your first month for $1, or you can join on an annual sub for 50% off. So look, if you want to just take us for a quick test drive, it'll get you all the way through Big Cat Weekend, which is it's a great time to be a VIP member. A lot of VIP recruiting, intel, and notes going out. And if you want to join for 50% off, that gets you all the way through next summer's official visit season. And we'd really love to have you over there and catch you guys again here on the YouTube soon.